Welcome. In front of me I have the new POCO X7 Pro, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and also its specifications. So, jumping straight... What the hell? Why is there like a... sound like a... there's a beanbag or something. Let's get straight into it. That is a very curious sound. Now let's start off with this device. So here we have it. It's a relatively small device. I'm gonna boot it up right away. There we go. Okay, so we have these little moisture absorbing packages at the bottom for some reason. Now in here we get a charging cable, type A to type C, and a provided case. There we go. I'm gonna drop that back in here and move it to the side. So, taking a look at the display, it's a pretty nice display. It's rocking very low bezels right here, so it has a nice high screen to body ratio, and that is actually an 88.8% screen to body ratio. Now, display size is a 6.67 inches of 1220 by 2712 pixels in terms of resolution. Being an AMOLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate, Dolby Vision certified with HDR10 Plus certification, and a peak brightness of 3200 nits. So it gets pretty bright, and in general it's spec'd out pretty nicely. Also boasts a 446 pixels per inch covered with a Cornell Gorilla Glass 7i. Display, pretty good. Now, if you flip it over to the back, we have a dual camera setup. Thank you for not including fake cameras. And the main sensor here will be a 50 megapixel f1.5 aperture 26mm wide lens. And then we get an 8 megapixel f2.2 15mm ultra wide. Now with those cameras you can record videos up to 4K at 60 frames. 1080p then also gives you 60 along with slow motion up to whopping 960 frames per second. That's pretty good. And at the front we have a selfie and that hole punch camera, and that is a 20 megapixel wide sensor that does a measly 1080p at 30 frames. Measly considering the back ones do 4K at 60. So that's the camera setup. Now in terms of internals, we are looking at a decent battery size, considering this device isn't thick or heavy or bulky. It's a 6000 mAh battery that can be charged at 90 watts. Now the reason you have these kind of phones nowadays coming up with bigger and bigger batteries is because we have a new battery tech, being a silicone, lithium or whatever, something silicone. I honestly don't remember what the other compound there was. But it's silicone-based batteries that basically pack more power in a same kind of footprint. That's why we have same size phones that now, instead of having something like 4700, 5000 mAh battery, now have 6 or even more. Some devices even rock a 7000 mAh battery or more. For instance, this one here, which is the the Z70 Ultra, is near 7000 milliamps, so pretty huge. So not only does the new battery allow you to pack more power into the same kind of battery cell size, but it also can be charged faster. That's why you also have now things like 90 watts charging, more frequently seen on more devices. So that's pretty nice. Now in terms of the processor powering this device, we have a Dimensity 8400 Ultra processor. And now it comes with either 8 or 12 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of storage out of the box on the lowest end, and it can go up to half a terabyte. And the storage type in here is going to be the UFS 4.0 storage, which is pretty decent. Not the fastest, but still decent for what could basically be considered a flagship device at, well, stupidly low price, to be honest, which I'm gonna get to this later. So internally, pretty good specifications. Now, in terms of the build quality, just give me a moment. Needed to close the door. So in terms of the build quality, that's kind of where it's a little bit on a lower end, but I don't think it really matters that much, considering the rest of the package is super nice, and the build quality being on a lower end is the reason why this device is so affordable. So in terms of the back, we have either plastic back or silicone polymer, which would be the eco leather. And the frame will be plastic, though the glass, like I mentioned before, is the Gorilla Glass 7i. So build quality, like I said, a little bit lower with the plastic frame and back. But other than that, it's pretty good. Now, another thing that I didn't mention, and it's not visible, is the under display fingerprint sensor, which is pretty nice. I personally like those. Obviously, that's probably up to preference, what you prefer. Some people I know prefer the side mounted one that is doubling as a power button. I myself prefer under the display, and that's what we have right here. And yeah, that's basically everything that there is to the device. Going over the actual sides of it, we have our power/volume rockers on the right side. At the top, we have speaker, or I think there's a speakers, some microphones, and what looks to be an IR blaster for using it as a remote control to control things like, for instance, AC units or TV boxes and stuff like that. Then on the left side, we have absolutely nothing. And at the bottom, we have our Type-C charging port, speakers, microphones, and our SIM tray. This is only a SIM, there is no expendable storage. And this entire device comes at a price tag that will be probably a bit surprising considering how much it offers, and it offers a pretty nice package, I would say. And that would be just below $400, about 350 euros or so, depending on the conversion rates and stuff like that. For 350, this is a absolutely insane phone. It is basically a flagship grade. The display right here, top notch. Battery size and charging, top notch. Processor, also fantastic. RAM and storage, I would say those are also great. These are basically more like standards that you get for most devices, with 256 and 8 gigs is kind of like a base entry, and that's what we get right here. But like I said, you can also spec it up to half a terabyte with 12 gigs of RAM, which is an overkill. And camera wise, I haven't tested them out, but in terms of on paper, they are looking also good. Probably the biggest downgrade here compared to an actual flagship that costs basically 3 times more will be the camera. It most likely, and I don't need to check it, most likely won't be comparing to things like Samsungs or iPhones in terms of the quality of the photos. But at this point, most devices take very good photos, and outside of just some kind of exposure problems and stuff like that, that might be just a little bit less appealing compared to the high-end devices. Most of phones are, or the photos that they take are kind of personal preference, I would say. It won't probably be as sharp as, like I said, the competition of like high-end flagship devices, but for just general photo taking, it will get you through without any kind of problem. And obviously the defining factor here is the price tag, which is very appealing. So with that out of the way, hopefully you found this very helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.